Welcome back to another episode of Stories of Awakening, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure to talk to Missy Toy Ozeas. She is an energy intuitive and transformational guide. She guides empaths and high sensitive people to clear their self-doubt and imposter syndrome to live a bold, powerful, and magical life. Welcome, Missy, and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, me too. So I know a little bit about you already. I loved your story and I really resonated with your story for many things. And I really wanted to share it with my audience as well. And so I heard before that you were born very gifted. You were very intuitive and probably like many of us. And then you shut down your gifts. So would you like to start maybe from there? Tell us your story from there or from whenever you think is best.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think that we all are born with gifts, and they show up in different ways, but not all of our gifts are accepted or they actually scare people. So as a child, like really young, I would say 3 and under, especially, I could see energy. Well, now I call it energy, but like I could see ghosts and I was really afraid of what I saw. Well, actually, I will say in the beginning, I wasn't afraid of what I saw. So one of my first stories is that when my grandmother died and we were really close, when she passed away, we all went to the cemetery and I saw her standing there. I can see to this day where she was standing, and went over and I talked to her. And then my mom was like, what are you doing? And I said, oh, there's Papa. That's what we called it. There's Papa. She's over there. And then I saw her face and my aunties, and they're like, that's like, I could see like, that's crazy. Oh no, what is that? Like, that's scary. And I realized even at 3, okay, that's not acceptable. Like you should shut that. That's like kind of a bad thing. So don't do that because that scares people. So then I think I became a little bit afraid of what I saw, because I kind of remember after that, I would have like bad dreams, like, or nightmares. And then I remember being afraid of this big mirror that was in the hallway. And I would have to run across the hallway if I went to get to my parents' bedroom because I was scared, but I'd be afraid because I knew in the mirror I would see something. So then I started, I think, getting a little bit scared of my gifts. And then I think that's when I started shutting it down. But the kind of interesting thing is, if I look back on my life as a child, there were certain things that I loved. And now it makes sense to me. It didn't make sense at the time, but like I loved Cinderella, like the Disney story. And that was one of my first books. I think I was actually 3 or 4. And I would just turn to the page where the fairy godmother would turn her dress from like, whatever it was, the servant or peasant dress, into that like ball gown. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And that's really transformation. So there was something in me that loved transformation. And then I also loved this really old movie. I can't remember how I saw it, but it's called Escape to Witch Mountain. And it's about these 2 twins, I think, brother and sister, who have like psychic powers. And like people try to catch them or something like that. I can't remember, but they could do things that psychic, like I think move things with their hands or speak to each other.
Telepathically,
I think it was something like that. And then I also loved, like in 3rd grade, I was obsessed with Florence Nightingale and Clara Barton, who are nurses. And I would read, it was so weird, but I would read and reread their biographies, like in the school library. I would just keep checking those books out for like a year, all in 3rd grade. So, and then I look back and I think, well, that's this calling or this feeling of wanting to be a healer or somebody who helps. So it's just funny when we look at our gifts and our talents and also what we're drawn to as kids. And like people in your audience can kind of think back to what did they love that might not have made sense. And then, like, what did they love to read? What did they love to watch? What did they like to do? What were their gifts, whether they were kind of strange or not?
Yeah, absolutely. This is part of what I do as well in my coaching, really help them to reconnect with their inner child.
Yes.
And and really try to remember what they loved when they were kids. And then maybe they had to shut it down because it wasn't approved from their parents or their caregivers. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just too curious. I need to ask this. So you said you were seeing ghosts, and I think this is how many people can understand what you mean. And I would call them energies now as well. But would you, I know it's hard to describe probably, but how were you seeing them? Were you seeing the full person there? Or it's just.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a great question. Yeah. So with my grandmother, I just saw her. I actually I was only 3, but I just for sure thought that was her. Well, I mean, I still think it was her. I know it's her spirit. So I saw her whole like body presenting as she had in life. But I also now recognize that all spirits don't show up in the same body, but I think she presented that way to me so I could feel comfortable and I knew it was her.
Yeah.
But over time, even when I shut my gifts off, there are crazy stories where we'd go, like in college to a hotel or something, and I would be completely freaked out because I saw and sensed ghosts. Or ghosts came and sat on me, or like crazy things like that when I shut it off, but they would still come. So sometimes it's different. I felt ghosts, like their presence, like physically felt them touching. Sitting, touching on me. Yeah, touching me. Then I've seen things, or because clairvoyance is one of my strongest gifts. And it'll be different for everybody. Like other people hear things, or they just know there's a ghost there, right? Or a spirit, I should say, there. For me, mostly I see, because that's my
stronger clair. Yeah. Wow. I think it happens to many, because I remember even when I wasn't awakened at all, but I was fascinated by these stories, and I worked in finance for many years. And I remember there were some colleagues there that were telling me stories, similar stories. And since I was so open to it and I wasn't judging, but I was very curious, they were sharing these stories with me. But I really saw that many of them, I would say the majority of them, were very scared, because our society doesn't tell us that this is a possibility and this can happen. So people just get scared and shut it down. But I really would like to say that there is nothing to fear, and I really would love to normalize this. I mean, it might take us a while still, but I really would like to normalize these things, because they happen to many.
Exactly. And that's one of my missions, is really to bring energy work mainstream, because really a ghost is a spirit or energy, and our bodies are energy. We're 99.99% energy. We're energy beings. All the non-physical parts of ourselves, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotions are also made of energy. So we're always sending energy out, and we're always reading other people's energy, whether we're conscious of it or not. We're energetic beings. So we're always interacting with each other and places and emotions and things. And as you said, the more we normalize that this is normal to feel things, to sense things, to use other senses, I think really the more healthy we'll be as a society.
Exactly. And we can use actually our gifts that are there for a reason also.
Yes.
Yeah. So great. So, and then after that, what happened?
So I think I basically shut that down. And then I went to college because I love stories. So I wanted to be a filmmaker. So I went to film school in Los Angeles. And I ended up working in television, and features and many things. I had a long career in television in the camera department for a really long time. And I actually loved it. I had lots of friends there. I loved my job. But over time, there was something inside that was sort of nagging. Like I was a little bit bored, I think. And then also I really had this feeling like, there's more. Like I want to help people. I think it started with that, like feeling like I'm not really helping. I'm not making a difference. I'm not making the world better. I'm not using all parts of myself, even though I didn't know what those parts would be. I didn't know what it would look like, but I knew I wanted to help more people. So I actually went to Spain and during the running of the bulls, and I wasn't running, but during that festival, I tore my calf muscle. And so I was actually on bed. I couldn't work for 2 months after that. So I was forced to do nothing. Just for the, like kind of the first time in my life, I was forced to do nothing. I just was in bed. And that really helped me think about or dial into what do I actually want to do with my life? Because at that point I could do nothing but really think about anything. And actually during that 2 months, I realized, I really want to help people. So I actually created a nonprofit where we would match people with, so I'd find people who had gifts and talents, and then I'd find a community who needed that gift and talent, and we'd match them together and we'd do pop-up events. So like we had a still photographer and he was gifted in photography, right? And we matched him with a homeless shelter, a family shelter. And we spent the day taking family photos for all these families because they've never had a family photo. And then we printed them and, we did their hair and makeup and, whatever they wanted. I mean, we'd have to have hair and makeup, but if they wanted that, some of them did. And then we framed it for them. And then they have a family photo of something that they've never had before. So I think that was almost the start of my transition out of camera, because I realized, wait, that's super fun to help people. And also finding people's gifts and talents and pairing it with serving the world actually is what I do now, but it's just in a very different way. Because I love to help people uncover all the conditioning and everything that's not them, that so that they can be authentically themselves with their natural gifts and talents and use those gifts and talents to serve the world. That's what I live for.
Yeah, well, I'm very similar, so I totally get it. Amazing. And so for how long did you work in television or film?
Years, like decades, like 20 something. I can't even remember.
Okay, so that's another thing. Yeah, that scares many people, because I was one of them. I realized what I wanted to do when I was 34. And it's not that what I was doing before was completely out of alignment. It was perfect for that time of my life, but I know there was something more, something different for me that was allow me to be fully aligned with my essence. And coaching is what I found for now to be what it is. But it is a journey.
Yes.
And I know some people are desperate because they know what they do is not what they want to do for the rest of their lives, but they don't know what else to do. So I think in my case was really try to follow what lights you up and your passion. And maybe at the beginning you do it just for yourself. Like when I started meditation, it just was for myself. I would have never thought I would teach it to someone else one day, but yeah. So is there any advice that you could give to people?
Yeah, I think it's being curious. So, well, it's a couple of things. For me, I really had to get clear. So, and in order to get clear, I had to be quiet. So I actually, so actually the story is that at work, a boss who is really nice, he said, "Okay, Missy, it's time for you to move up." And really out of my mouth, I just came, "No." And I was like, wow, that was kind of shocking. But that was actually the truth inside, is that I knew I didn't want to do it anymore. It's just, I had too much conditioning around, like, what am I going to do? And does it make sense? Right. The logical part of myself. But when I said no, I realized that's actually the truth. It's a no for me. But that also means somewhere there exists a yes for me. And that's for your audience too. things are a no and things are a yes. And even if you don't understand what that yes is, we can become curious to find out, okay, what is yes for me? And for me, I had to get quiet and ask that question. So I really committed to my meditation practice. And then I really asked, so it took a long time. It took 4 months, but I asked every day, like in my meditation, show me who I am. Like give me some information, give me a sign. And so I kept asking and asking, and then being open to what presented. And what happened is after 4 months, which is not what I thought was going to happen, but this is what happened. After 4 months, I heard a voice, and I didn't think I was clairaudient. I'm not somebody who typically hears any voices. So, but I was shocked, but it was very clear in my ear, and it said, "You are a healer." And I was like, oh my God, that is not the information that I thought I would ever get, because that was really outside my wheelhouse. Like, even though I meditated, I was probably the only person in my friend group or my family or anybody who meditated. Even that was like, oh, okay, I don't know. So my belief system was so out of alignment with that idea. But inside, I knew it was right. You can't, when you're connected to what's true, your body can feel what's truth is and what's false. And even though I don't have the language, I wasn't trained in any of this, I knew, oh, that's true. But how do I bridge the gap between something that seems crazy and what's actually true? And that was my work. The next segment of my life was about bridging that gap. And the universe was really there for me because it showed me a podcast. So on my way to work, I listened to podcasts and I stumbled upon a podcast about an energy healer. Like, when somebody says you are a healer, it's like, I didn't even know what an energy healer was. So listening to that podcast, and then all the doors opened. That the woman was super kind, and she ended up gifting me her energy healing program. So my very first program where I learned how to be an energy healer was gifted. Like, I did not, she really just said, I will gift this to you for free if you pay it forward. So that just opened the doors. And then I kept practicing. And part of it is being curious. So that energy of curiosity, like, well, I don't know, let's just try it. If I don't like it, I'll just do something else. Because I wasn't quitting my job yet. I was just trying different things. And then also the energy of amusement. Like, when we take ourselves so seriously, it can really bring us, it can limit us. So when we just get out of our own way, like, I don't know, this is kind of funny. Like, I was like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. This is kind of funny. What would it be like? I don't know. I'm just going to see. And the more you stay in that energy, the more I think we are open to learning. And that's the other thing, is always learning. Like, I don't know everything. I'm always going to learn. So it's fun. Also, I enjoy learning. So if we can get into that energy of like, yeah, there's always more to learn. Like, what else can we learn? That, I think, helped me open the door to accept new ideas.
Yeah. Being open-minded and willing to, learn also things that are completely different from what you heard until then.
Yes.
So I have a question about the energy healing course, because I'm curious again. So I had the Reiki training, the 3 levels of Reiki. So that's the energy work that I do. Was this something similar, or was it something different? No. I know there are thousands of different ways to work with it.
Yeah, I'm Reiki trained too, but not really until recently. So my training is really not hands-on. So so what I do is what I do is I help people release their limiting beliefs, their trapped emotions, and conditioning and programming that lives in their energy field. So, okay, now this sounds kind of crazy, but this is what I've learned along the way is we're energetic beings, and we actually have an aura or an energy field all around us. And what's in that energy field and in our body, all the non-physical parts of ourselves, like we talked about, like our thoughts, our beliefs, and emotions, they have weight. And they live, we can find them in our energetic field. And those pieces, they either repel or attract all the experiences and the things we want in our lives. So a lot of times we're like maybe say money, we're actually repelling money because we have all these beliefs in there. And this is along the lines of like subconscious reprogramming. It's kind of same idea, but I get really specific. So I can ask your body. So if we're talking about money, if somebody's having trouble, receiving money or earning money or getting money, there is a reason and like many reasons, but basically I could ask your body. So when I work with clients, I will ask, what do you want to work on? Say they want to work on their money blocks. Then we'll actually ask their bodies, okay, what are the blocks causing this person to repel money? And then what happens is their body will light up. And remember, one of my gifts is clairvoyance. So I will see in their bodies, oh, okay, there's a pattern. It's like here, here, or here, right? I can see where it is in the body, what the blocks are, how old they were when they trapped it, and what those blocks are really specific, like anger when you were 5, or this belief, I need to disappear that you picked up at 7. And so I use the clairvoyance to see first, and then I dial it in with my with some training. So I use a lot of the emotion code and the body code are really big, and I'm also trained as an intuitive healer. So kind of pulling in my natural gifts plus different all the different trainings that I've had to use those tools to do the work that I do. So I don't know if that's called like one certain thing, but and every healer is going to be like this. Even if you and I were trained in the exact same modalities, it's an art form. So healing's an art form. So every artist is different. So we're all going to be totally different. But that's also
absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. So you really do you see the chakras, for example? Do you? Oh, okay.
And that's a lot. That is a lot of the work that I do, because the chakras are the energy organs in our bodies. When those are blocked, we're not getting energy to that part or that energy field. So a lot of times that's exactly right. I'll look and your body will tell me, oh, in your root chakra, it's imbalanced. So then I have to go and I have to look, okay, what is imbalanced in there? Because a chakra is just like a wheel, right? So it's supposed to turn smoothly. But if you can think of a wheel, if there was like a stick in the wheel, it wouldn't turn, right? Like it kind of thump along. So I have to look in there and see, okay, what is the thing in there that's blocking it turning properly, right? Or working properly. So that is my work, right? So where is it? What is it? And then how can we release it? And then we spend a little time talking about it if we want to, but it's not like traditional talk therapy, because we don't have to talk about it, because that's more the mind. But I like to get the mind on board. Like really, we could just do it and get rid of it. But I know it helps people process.
Be conscious.
Yeah. We work with the conscious mind also. So,
So you see the wheels turning. That's amazing. Okay. So would you like to do a little demonstration maybe with me?
That'd be fun. Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. Okay.
So first I would ask you what you would like to work on, and then we can ask your body to show me the biggest block to whatever the issue or pattern or problem is.
Okay. So there are many, but I think the biggest has always been fear of being seen.
Yeah.
Especially related to spirituality and these spiritual gifts, because even just writing spiritual life coach on my Instagram, it was so out of my comfort zone. So,
okay. I love that, because that is my biggest block. That's what I've had to work on the most myself. And actually, I think that's also why I'm here, is to help people feel safe to be seen and use their gifts. So I love this question, or I love to ask your body this question. So I think what would be great is we find one trapped emotion. So the primary trapped emotion, and I'm going to ask for your biggest energy block. So we'll get 2 things today. So fear of being seen. Okay. So let me just take a second here and just look. And then I also use muscle testing. So I look and see, and then I get an impression, and then I muscle test to find maybe an age or something. So give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for you, we're going to look at your root chakra first. So root chakra is all about safety and security, family, law, and order. It's your ability to stand up for yourself. It's really about feeling safe. And if your root chakra is not working, maybe properly, we'd feel fear. So that makes sense to me. So your body's telling me there's an emotion in there trapped. So give me 1 second. Okay, so your first emotion, so the first emotion that's stopping you from being seen is actually overwhelm. So overwhelm is to be overpowered in mind or emotion. It's feeling extreme stress or maybe feeling overpowered by a superior force or excessively burdened. However, this emotion's not yours. This is your mom's. So we can inherit emotions from our parents or our ancestors in the same way, like our eye color, hair color came from our parents. So what I would ask you first is, so we haven't worked together before. So I'm always really curious about the first emotion that your body wants to release, because it's almost like they're like, oh, hey, if you only have time for one emotion, get this one. So is overwhelm an emotion that you connect to? Is that something you feel often?
Absolutely, especially in the last few years. Yes. Overwhelm. Absolutely. I would have not connected it to my mom, but she might repress it a little bit. And but I know ancestral healing is a big thing for me and something that I'm here for. So yeah, I would totally resonate with that. Yeah, it's overwhelming. What I can say is I have fear of success in a sense because I might associate it with a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that connection, right? Because that's overwhelming, like too much work. We can stop ourselves because we feel overwhelmed now, but we also project that if we have money or we are seen and we are visible, then we'll have to work harder, and that's overwhelming. So it's kind of both. But coming back to your mom for a second, when we talk about inherited emotions, it would be an emotion that your mom felt and wasn't able to release. So these emotions are from very specific events. I mean, we're not reading your mom right now, but it would be your mom felt the emotion of overwhelm at some point in her life, but before you were conceived. So it could be this is pretty wide open, but she could have been a child. Maybe her story, but overwhelmed at some point in her life where she wasn't able to process it. Do you know anything about her story? And it's okay if not.
I don't know actually much, but it's totally possible. I know she had some difficult times and she didn't share much about when she got married or before having me. I know it wasn't so easy for her.
Yeah. So something in there was trapped and then passed on to you. So how that would look for you is, I know you mentioned in the last couple of years you felt overwhelmed, but likely that was in your life, or that's what your body's saying. And sometimes and sometimes in this process that we do together, it takes some time to think about it, because a lot of times our conscious mind has blocked certain things. So a lot of times I work with clients that will bring something up and they'll say, I don't remember anything. And that's completely fine, because our conscious mind will sometimes block because we've had trauma, or it's taking up too much information, or it doesn't want to look at it. And it doesn't actually matter in the session, because what really matters is what your body's telling me, and your body's that emotion of overwhelm is actually blocking you from being seen. And then sometimes, a client will text me the next day, oh, now I remember, what it was. And that's fine. Whether you remember it or not, we can still release it.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, energy will move according to intention and observation. So that's why we can release. So we both can we both observed it, right? We know what it is, where it is in your body, how old you were, or in this case, where it came from, mom. And then, so we observe it, and then we can both hold that intention to release it from your body. And this is where I just do a little bit of work myself to sort of just look and hold that intention to release it. And that's also when I can look and see, okay, what's happening? Is it actually going? Is it getting stuck again? Is it moving? But for your case, it's moving out. And I would believe that to be true because anything that your body shows me is actually ready to release. Otherwise, I've noticed it won't show me. Mm-hmm. So I feel comfortable after doing thousands of sessions that if I'm seeing it, it's ready to go. So let's look at one more block for you. So again, we're going to ask your body to show me one of the biggest blocks to you for fear being seen. Okay. So this one, okay, actually, this is still in the root. I thought we were going to move somewhere else, but it's still in the root chakra. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so when you were 6 years old, so I could be off a year either way, could be 5, could be 7, but it's around 6. You trapped a broadcast message in your root chakra. So broadcast message is the energy of, is a message that you send out to the world and it comes back to you. So it's kind of like a message from a radio tower that your body's always sending out. Or another way to look at it is like you have a t-shirt on and it has a saying on it and everyone can read it, but you forgot you were wearing it because it's always something that's coming out. We can usually see it in relationships. So I'll tell you what it is and then we can talk about it. So you have a broadcast message that says ignore me. So this actually helps you stay hidden. But when you were 6, my question would be, did something happen around that age where it would be an event, something happened where you ignore me, like I don't want you to see me or don't look at me or ignore me, something in that range?
There are a couple of things that come to mind. One is saying something to a neighbor and my mom blaming me for doing that.
Okay.
And I felt a lot of shame for, I don't know, I was singing a song or something with a friend to the neighbor and I shouldn't have done it. Something like that.
Okay, this is good. Okay. What emotions did you feel? Shame? What else?
Shame, regret, and fear as well a bit.
And fear?
That there could be some consequences, of what I've done.
Okay, so when we look at being seen, do those emotions still come up? Shame, regret, and fear, that those emotions might be present when we think about, okay, now I'm being seen on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
So your body's telling me that this is one of the pivotal. So we're always looking for kind of the root cause, right? Because there might have been other times in your life where you were sending this message up, but we want to know, when did it start? And so your body's telling me, and usually it's whatever especially your intuitive. So whatever came to mind first for you is probably right. So that time with your mom, you created this message inside that said, okay, ignore me. Like, because probably you didn't want to get in trouble again or feel those emotions again. So you put up like, it's almost like a shield that says, okay, ignore me. But then the other thing I would ask you is, when we have a broadcast message, it's basically we send it out into the world and then everyone reads it and reflects that back to us. And so it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's just a cycle. This is the work that we do. We want to break that cycle and release it. So you're not sending that message. But how has this shown up for you in the past? Can you see, especially maybe in relationships, or maybe it's at work or something where you realize, oh, I actually have sent this out. That's why they did or didn't react to me this way. Can you see any connections?
All the time. I mean, I was behind the scene always. I was never the main character, except some rare occasions. But yeah, I love to be hidden for a long time. And then I was getting frustrated. I said, why people don't see me? I did that.
That's right. It's because that's so perfect. And that's exactly what happens is it's like we want something, but there's a hidden piece in there that's sending like the opposite message. So remember what I was talking about, our energy fields can attract or repel what we want. So in some way we could say this message, because it was an experience, and also we have to have compassion for this little girl, right? These are real emotions that she felt. And she was just trying to protect herself from getting in trouble or feeling shame or hurt again. So she created this message to protect her from this experience again. But now it's at odds with what your spirit wants to do. And your spirit is here to show up for all of us, like on this podcast, and to share your gifts and help others. We need you to be seen. So your spirit knows it wants to be seen, but that little girl is like, no. So that's that push pull where your spirit and your inside, your desires want one thing, but there's this break on. So my job is to look for, what are those breaks? Like, what are those things that are hidden that we can't find by ourselves? And that's why this work, I love, it's quick. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying in any way that healing is there's no quick fix to anything, but what I love is we can get to it efficiently. Like right now, your body just told us two things very in the span of 10 minutes, the root causes. Now there's more and other work, of course, all of us could do, but these are great places for you to start, because when you know that overwhelm is one of your blocks, you can consciously take action, start noting what makes you feel overwhelmed. And then start to recreate your life so you have more space, so you're not as overwhelmed, or whether that's getting help in certain areas that overwhelm you, so you have a little bit more energy, as well as now that you know you have Ignore Me, but we're going to release both of these, by the way, though. But Ignore Me, you can be more conscious, right? Of knowing, okay, that's just that little girl at 6. And especially because you do inner child healing, take that. Now you know what to focus on, that little girl. Healing, doing the work that you do on that 6-year-old to release this. But we will do it right now. So just give me 1 second to release this broadcast message. Ignore me. So I'll hold that intention, and I'm also going to watch and just okay. See, here's the great thing. So I saw that go, your body's ready. Like, you just want to hold this anymore. It's like, that was easy.
I was thinking release as well. I don't know if it helps.
Well, your intention, right? So the less resistant we are, the easier it is to sort of get all this out. But also, that's what I am here for, to also look and see. And I'll tell you, if I didn't see it, I would say, okay, maybe we need to go back and look at other pieces. But that's what happens when we have a desire. Like, your spirit knows why it came here, and it knows that this isn't really necessary anymore.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. I feel lighter. Thanks so much. This is amazing. Thanks for overcome your fear of being seen and do this work for all of us. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. Wow. I'm kind of speechless now. Okay. So if people want to work with you, you want to share where they can find you, how they can work with you? Yeah.
Yeah, so I work with people in a couple different ways. I work with people in small groups over Zoom. So anybody can come in to my website and just sign up. I have different dates every month, and you can just come in and work on one issue, pattern, or problem in a group. But really what I love working and where we find the biggest transformations is working one-on-one. So working one-on-one together in a 2-month program, my program's expansion, and we really dive in deep together too. So for you, say it could be fear of being seen, but you could take many things. So when we work on expansion, I really have you, we spend time talking about all the things you want to work on because actually they're related. So what looks unrelated at first, I start seeing the patterning, and we can start dismantling parts of it. And then that kind of fixes another part. And it's like all interrelated. So we start with the big picture, all the things you want to work on. And then through the 2 months, we work through it all. And we've had great transformations. People have manifested pregnancies. So I work with a lot of people who are trying to become pregnant. So that, my latest client got a marriage proposal. That was a surprise. At the end, we weren't even working on romance. We were working on her business. But as we cleared money and love are related, it ended up that. So like amazing things happen in the program. And because we really spend that time together, I also have an energy healing, or not energy healing. This is energy empowerment membership. And that's a monthly membership where I just teach different energy tools for living and feeling better on a daily basis. And it's filled with learning modules and meditations. So 3 ways. I also have a healer on my team who also works with people one-on-one. So you can also work with her. So 4 different ways. And you can go to missyenergyhealing.com. That's my website to look at everything. And you can also follow me. I'm on Instagram at Missy Energy Healing also.
Thank you so much, Missy. I really love the work you do. So thanks for shining your light.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming to my podcast. Really an honor for me. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and I'll talk to you at the next episode. Bye.